Hi, I'm Lamarr Townsend. I'm a natural intuitive, clairvoyant, clairaudient, empathic psychic tarot reader, and I appreciate you for watching my psychic tarot reading on Drake. Please like this video if you enjoy it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, contact me at lamartownsendtarot.com for your own personal, private, confidential tarot reading or your own birth chart reading, because I do birth chart readings. All the information will be listed on my website, lamartownsendtarot.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at Lamarr Townsend and like me on Facebook, facebook.com/Lamarr Townsend Official. So I thank you for listening and watching this video on my psychic reading on Drake, Aubrey Graham. Now, it's been quite amazing to actually look at, by the way, the tarot deck that I'm using, because the lighting can sometimes be iffy with my MacBook. So I have to use a dark tarot deck, both literally and figuratively. So I'm using the Tarot Moon, or the Deviant Moon tarot deck. So I thank you for listening and watching. By Patrick Valenza is the designer. So as I was saying, it's been quite amazing to look at Drake's career, because I didn't originally know him as Drake. I was born in 91, so I grew up as a late 90s, early 2000s kid/teen. So, of course, if you were a kid that had cable back then, if you had the channel VN, Nickelodeon, I don't even know what other channels this show was on, Noggin, like those kid type channels. It might have even been on MTV or something like that. But Degrassi, the N was such a good freaking channel for teens around that era. They should have never gotten rid of that channel, actually, because I feel like that would still be lucrative even today. But then again, TV isn't as lucrative as it was back then. But anyways, the N had they had Degrassi, they had old reruns of Moesha, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Clueless, the TV show. The N was just everything. Anyways, Degrassi was actually, as far as I know, how Drake got his start in the entertainment industry, period. Now, he may have been in other TV shows, he may have been doing commercials, I don't know, and the reason why I actually decided, I even got called to do this reading, was because I actually, how sometimes I don't know how it is for other older generations or younger generations, but I don't know, I guess I'm speaking to people my age, 18 to 30, or 18 to 35 maybe. Maybe even, 16, 17 to 35, I don't know, but you know how sometimes you stumble upon things on the internet that remind you or resonate with your childhood, and you just go on a binge of rewatching that thing or getting reacclimated with that thing, and then figuring out what those characters are up to or whatever. That's kind of how it was for me with Degrassi 2 days ago. I ended up watching some video on YouTube about Degrassi, where they did the season intros throughout all the seasons. By the way, Degrassi is a long ass show. It started in 2001 and it ended, I think, in 2000. Or is it still going? I think it's still going, actually. But Drake was in The Next Generation. I think this new era of Degrassi is Degrassi The Next Class, and I literally only know this from researching this last night. I would literally went on a binge, because Degrassi The Next Generation, let me clarify, Degrassi The Next Generation, which is my generation, meaning the Degrassi class from 2001 to 2015, although I stopped watching around the time Drake's character got shot and was in the wheelchair or something like that. That's when I kind of stopped watching, around that era. So around somewhere around season probably 6 or 7 is when I stopped watching, maybe even 8 or 9. But regardless, it was such a huge part of my childhood, and Drake was in that show. He was a big part of that show. And that's where I knew Drake. That's how I grew up knowing Drake. I actually didn't even know Drake as Drake. I knew him as Aubrey Graham. Like, you know, that was his name in the TV credits on the TV show Degrassi. So that's how I knew him. So then when Drake started popping up on the music scene more and more, I was like, wait, isn't that Jimmy from Degrassi? Like, what is Jimmy from Degrassi? I couldn't take him seriously. And I think a lot of people who knew him as an actor, like who knew him as Degrassi and any other TV characters or whatever he played, couldn't take him seriously. But I think he's proved us wrong. I later found out, actually, through watching some YouTube videos, because I go on a binge. I found something nostalgic from my childhood. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this all over again. I go on a binge. I find out, you know how it is. I found out, actually, he said in an interview, Drake, that he would work all day on the set on Degrassi. And mind you, this is like back in 2000. Drake was an original member of the Degrassi Next Generation, meaning he was an original member from the first season until whenever he stopped being on the show. Like, so so this is back in like the early 2000s, like 2001. He said in an interview that he would work on the set of Degrassi all day, and then he would go home or go wherever, a studio, work on music till like 4 or 5 a.m., get like 2, 3, 4, 5 hours of sleep, and then go back to the set of Degrassi the next day. So he's literally been working towards this music career since day one. That was his vision. That was one of his goals. He wanted to be exactly who he is today. And I think, honestly, Degrassi was just a stepping stone. His acting career was just a stepping stone. I actually think, had he continued with his acting career, he probably could have been super duper successful, like on the level of Jonah Hill, like Adam Sandberg, like those type of people. If that makes sense. So this is exactly why I'm doing this psychic reading. Because of Degrassi, Drake. I don't know if you end up watching this video. You probably will at some point. Dude, Degrassi was a big part of my childhood, and so therefore you are and were a big part of my childhood. So I appreciate you for being such a big part of my childhood, and I just think it's just crazy for fans of Degrassi to see you grow from Jimmy, to Drake, It's just crazy, but it's cool because it also shows that we've grown up, in our own ways. Maybe not all of us have been clearly as successful as you yet, but we've grown up with you. So it's just awesome. Like, I don't know, it's cool. Let's see what the energies are around Drake. I've been shuffling these cards this whole time, as y'all can hear. Sorry for that intro. I just had to get that out because it's just, and I know some of you may. Degrassi goes way back to like the 70s, so it's an old show, and I know I get a lot of different viewers. But I just think it's so cool. I think it's just cool. It's just cool. But that's also how he got his start. And I also wonder if he keeps in touch with his cast members from Degrassi. Alright, let's see what the energies are around Drake. What's around Drake? Whatever it takes, I know I can make it through. If I hold out, I know I can. Okay, what's around Drake? The card at the bottom of the deck, y'all. Let's see. be the best I can. Ace of Swords. The card at the bottom of the deck. What are the energies around Drake? The Ace of Swords. Communication. Strong communication. It feels like communication coming from a place of defense. Defensive communication. Defending oneself. It feels it has to do with money, career, finances, management, something like that. It feels like he's turning a tide in a new... He's turning a tide, a new tide, a new era, a new phase. It's a more mature phase in his career. And I feel like he wants to venture out and do new things. And I feel like he actually wants to venture out and get back into acting. But it's literally like almost one of those things where it's like, okay, well, you were able to successfully make the transition from being an actor to a successful rapper, but can you successfully make that transition back from being a successful rapper to an actor? It's a tough transition, but not impossible, right? The card at the bottom of the card in the past position is the Strength card. He has a lot of strength, inner strength. He feels he can almost do anything, and it's true. He can do anything that he sets his mind to, for sure. He has a lot of spiritual energy around him, a lot of spiritual strength as well. He can do anything, but within his limits. There's limitations around him. There's like limitations around what he can do, and that's very frustrating for him. It's almost like he's been placed in a box. He's worked so hard to not be placed in a box, but it's still like he's still being placed in a box. You know what I'm saying? That's really frustrating, I feel, for him. The card in the present position, the Three of Swords. He definitely wants to make a transition in his career. He wants to do something new. Something outside of music. Like, totally outside of music. Not like, just, producing and, writing for other artists. It's like he wants to step out of the music game for a little while, I feel. The Star in the future position. Things aligning. I believe he is a Scorpio, right? Sacrificing. I feel like there is some sacrifices that will have to be made in terms of this transition he wants to make in terms of his career. Some personal sacrifices, I feel like. It's interesting because it's weird because it's like, okay, he successfully makes the transition back. Say he successfully makes the transition back to acting after being, the superstar Drake for so long. By getting a recurring role on a TV show, a role in a movie, and I have to be honest, it feels like he's such a huge star at this point, and there are certain things in the public eye, in the industry's eye, whatsoever, that are beneath him. But it feels like Drake himself would not... What's the word I want to use? Drake himself would not rule out returning back to television. No matter how beneath him it may seem, I feel like he wouldn't rule out returning back to television. I feel like he wouldn't rule out returning back to acting, like even if it's like just like a recurring role on like a Netflix series, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like there are certain people around him or something like that who feel like that's beneath you, you know what I'm saying? Why would you do that? You're Drake, but it's like, that's my roots, you know what I'm saying? That's how I got started, I got started in acting, in television, you know what I'm saying? So It's weird, and I think that's kind of what I mean by limitations. It's just like, and that's just one example. It's just a lot of limitations. It's like everyone thinks, oh, he's Drake, he can do anything in the world he wants to do. It's like, no, not really. You know what I'm saying? Interesting. The card in the conclusion is the Hanged Man in reverse, though. This is it in the upright in reverse. It came, which is interesting because that tells me that Drake, at the end of the day, is gonna do what he wants, and I think that that is what's best for him. And Drake, I'm talking to you specifically. Okay, there was a certain work ethic. There was a certain work ethic. There was a certain experimentation, sense of limitlessness, fearlessness to you. I feel when that you had to you, and even hunger for, and passion that you had when you were in that stage of, working on Degrassi, being on set of Degrassi, and then, working until the wee hours of the morning, hardly not getting any sleep on music. Like, there was like this certain sense of hunger, passion, and fire and experimentation once again that you had. And I want to say, go back to that energy. And I know that may be harder said than done because you're Drake. You can do anything you want at this point. You have people around you buttering you up, blah, blah, blah. But as a Scorpio, because I believe you are a Scorpio. By the way, Drake, I feel like, and please excuse me because I'm gay, so I feel comfortable saying this, and this just literally just popped out to me in the card. Oh, sorry, I think I like messed up the mic. Okay, so it's good, I think. Hold on. Alright, I guess we're good. Is it still working? Okay. Drake, I am gay, so I feel comfortable saying this. Please, I hope this doesn't make you feel uncomfortable, but I feel like a lot of people tell you that you have a nice butt. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why I'm seeing that in the card. If you really look at it, I mean, it looks like the figure in the picture has a nice butt, right? That's what I'm seeing. It's just coming out to me, right? So I feel like you get a lot of compliments on your butt. Anyways, back to what I was saying. There was a certain passion, hunger, and enthusiasm to you when you were in that stage, of fighting to make it, working to make it. And it's like, go back to that place. Easier said than done because you're at the place you are now. But I think part of it is, once again, doing what you want at the end of the day. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to do what I want. I don't really care what the business people, what the people buttering me up are saying, because at the end of the day, they have their own self-interest, their own needs to please. You know what I'm saying? When I was doing my thing back then, I didn't have all these people around me, and, I got here, so I think I'm just going to, do what I did then and listen to myself and just keep hustling and grinding, right? Like, that's the energy I feel for you, Drake. Listen to yourself above all. The Five of Pentacles. Money is... He has a lot of people, of course, on his team. A lot of people that he has to take care of. A lot of people that... because money is involved, have influence over his career and kind of what he does and doesn't do. So there's a tussle between what he wants to do and what he's being instructed to do. What he wants to do and what his handlers, what the people behind him want him to do. And it's just really kind of a tough situation to be in. The World, though, I love this card. A happy ending, coming full circle. Ace of Wands. I'm wondering if there could be a pregnancy around Drake. Seven of Wands. I wonder if there's a pregnancy around Drake, because that could stall things for a little while. Knight of Pentacles, Seven of Cups in reverse. I feel like there are definitely some changes coming up for Drake. If there is a pregnancy around Drake, I think what I want to say is try and be as cooperative as possible. If things do go through, okay, just try and be as cooperative as possible. Ironically, I feel like maybe being as cooperative as possible may help you out in terms of money in the long run, if you understand what I'm saying. The Seven of Pentacles, Queen of Swords, King of Swords, the Hermit, Queen of Wands. I feel like Drake has a lot of people to answer to. I feel like Drake definitely needs some peace of mind at this moment and moving forward. It would benefit him to probably spend more time outdoors in peaceful surroundings, near water, in nature, the Magician. And I feel a need to really, organize some things before making your next move. Getting some things cleared up, dotting your I's, crossing your T's, tying all the ribbons and the shoelaces, making sure everything's good before making your next step, Drake, okay? That's what I see for Drake. I see him really just wanting to make a career transition at this moment in time, but he's being stalled by numerous things going on, numerous people, and ultimately I feel like he will be able to pull through. I feel like he really wants to get back into acting. And I feel like we might see him in a television show or connected to a television show, or a movie role. I feel like it's more centered toward television though, or something like that, or like the internet. And it's just gonna be like a little getting his feet wet to see the reaction, and then like from there, I feel like he'll dive deep depending on the reaction he gets. But I feel like throughout it all, he's still gonna work on music. I feel like he has a big album coming out within the next 3 to 5 years. So thank you for listening and watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is my reading of Drake. And contact me at lamarrtownsendtarot.com for your own personal, private, confidential, psychic tarot reading or your own birth chart reading, okay? Thank you for listening and watching. Until the next video. Thank you.